I'm behind on videos. I'm going to ask you guys for help on that later, but I watched a video by a friend of mine, and it was called I Love You, But You Have to Let Me Die. And I didn't know what that meant until I watched it. It talks about his journey with weight loss and who he used to be. And that's kind of what this video is about. I did a video on my old channel called Growth in Dieting and Parenting the Inner Child. I don't know how many of you are from dysfunctional families where there's stages in growth that we all go through. You know, when we learn things and we learn things about ourselves. But when you're in a dysfunctional family, a lot of that gets kind of twisted. And it can happen in dieting too, at least in my opinion, in my experience. That's all this can speak to. But when you start dieting, there are things that you used to do that you might not allow yourself to do, or at least I didn't. Like if I have a naughty food, or let's say a lot of it, because I'll admit I'm prone to having a bag of chips. Because before I know it, my hand will go in the bag and it's deeper in the bag than it was 5-10 minutes ago. And that's because the bag's almost gone. Forget about how bags are made. That's a gimmick and that's part of it too. But the part of my inner child when it comes to dieting that goes wrong is I get afraid that I'm going to be judged for having the chips gone, or having too many, or gaining weight, or having people go, or one of my family members' favorite things was to say, and still to this day they do it, are you going to have any real food today? Are you going to have a sandwich with those chips? What if I'm not? What if I don't? And that is what I've learned over the last maybe year and a half on my personal journey. I've learned to do. It's to go back and nurture that inner child that, like I said, we all have, even if we're not on a diet. If we were raised in a home where there was alcoholism, physical abuse, any list of tragic things or things that are life-altering of your own. There are things that we learn in childhood that we don't always grow out of, or at least I didn't. You know, I never grew out of people's opinions. Like when my mom said, well, people are going to laugh at you if you do that. Now I get better with going, you know what? If they laugh, let them. They may be laughing at me, but their laughter is about them. This video is already going all over the place. To get back to the idea of your inner child with dieting, it's the concept for me of knowing that when you diet and when you make a bad choice, to try hard not to scold yourself like I did. And I still can do it, but I realize that it's okay. It's not going to break who I am. I believe it's not going to break who you are. If you know how I feel about believing in people, one mistake doesn't make the whole thing fall apart. And neither do a series of them, as long as you recognize it and see it for what it is. But like inner children and children, legitimate children, they don't realize that, you know, if a child breaks something, they may think it's broken forever and don't realize that you can repair it. Whether it's with glue, taking it to a repair shop, whatever. We can do that too. We can teach ourselves that, you know what? I made a mistake, or I made a choice I wished I hadn't have, but I was having a party. I was with friends. I was wherever I was. To get back to this guy's video, I love you, but you have to let me die. He said something that I understand works for him, and it may work for all of us. But I think there's people we are when we die. There's who we were, who we are, or who we are rather, and who we want to be. And in order to get to where we want to be, we have to drag, if you will, that child, that inner child in us within, kicking and screaming, that's afraid, that goes, I don't want to do this. I'm afraid. I'm ashamed. I'm wrong. And you take them through your process with you. So I don't believe that you have to let that person you were die. You visit them, and they visit you on your current journey, and they'll probably visit you even when you get to where you want to be, because that's how we grow. At least that's how I grow in almost any experience. You grow through, I don't want to say you grow through fear, but you grow through seeing the adversity for what it is and not letting it define your every moment. But I believe that if you don't let the person you were come along with you, as long as they don't define who you are today, it's going to be okay, because you need to look at that and go, you know what? I don't know if I like who that person was, but I have to love them because they're going to get me through what I'm going through. And here's what I'm going to do that I almost always do every day. Do you know what I mean? Is that making sense? I say that a lot. I always wonder if people understand what I mean. And that's another part of my inner child, is not being understood. I want to be understood, like we all do. So, as bobbled and garbled as this video may be, I want anyone who's on any kind of journey to find themselves to know that you don't ever let who you were die or go away. I mean, if you choose to and that works for you, I'm not one to say you've got to do it this way. You have to do what works for you. But if you take the person you used to be and try and abandon them, it's like denying a part of you that you're ashamed of. And I don't think anyone has to be ashamed of who they were in their journey, because that person's got to come along with you, because they're a part of the process. In order to get to where we want to be, we have to look at where we were and go, you know what? I didn't like that. But I have to bring that through this with me in order to get to what I want. Where I was is over here. Here. Where I want to be is over here. And all the while I'm getting there, I'm in this moment, here. And I have to take this person with me, and I have to take this person with me. That's the sad thing about a camera that does it backwards. I have to take this person with me back here. Back there. We'll do it back there. To get to where I want to go. So as I close this video, I want you to nurture that person. And I'm talking about like you have split personalities. No one does. But you have things in you that you're always going to have to nurture and question. And not have to fear, but you can walk through it. And I think I'm about to cry, so I gotta hang on. How do I know you can walk through it? Because I've seen a lot of you do it. Every day. Whether it's you're screaming out loud at yourself, or you're just afraid to have something. I watch you overcome it, or I watch you do it, and deal with it. Don't let your inner child or your inner person die. They're who nurtures you when you need it. They're who helps you get through things, I think. Because when I'm scared, my adult self goes, you know what? I understand what you're feeling, and it's going to be okay. You can get through this. I believe that. as I close again, just nurture your inner child, because they're on this journey with you all the way. Whether you're afraid, angry, resentful, hey, you can even be happy too. And I tend to forget that. I tend to forget that my inner child wants to giggle. He wants to laugh. He wants to have Cheerios. No milk. Just dry Cheerios. And that's okay. I'm going to make it through this. And I know you are too.